Hi guys, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Justin, and welcome to episode 2 of Little Pop of Culture, your guide to everything film, fashion, and fame.
And today is going to be a loaded episode because we're going to be talking about season 5 of Stranger Things, which if you have a brain, I'm assuming you also hated. And also a little bit about things that might be, decent for America, which we'll get into a little bit later in the episode. But
I think a lot of you might enjoy that part.
Very gay, very somehow very straight. So straight women at the same time.
Straight women
very,
love
very
this.
gay.
Oh, yes.
But I think first we're going to talk about Stranger Things 5. And Justin, I know my thoughts. I don't want to start screaming early on. What are your feelings about the season as a whole?
So I think for me, if I had to kind of sum it up in like a few sentences, it's just that we've been watching this show for me since I was in high school. And now I am like almost closer to 30 now. And I feel like I was waiting for something so grand as the finale. And I felt like to get to a good-ish finale, I had to sit through a slog of a season. And that's just how I felt.
I felt the same. I didn't hate the finale, but I think the reason I didn't hate the finale is not because it was good, because it wasn't. I think for me, I was just very emotional at the fact that I was thinking about how I've watched the show since I was 19.
Yes.
And I did grow up with these characters, and I feel like it was more so me getting emotional about everything that has happened. Because I actually watched Stranger Things the literal day it came out. Mm-hmm. Because I'm super into, 80s pop culture, especially at the time. I watched that show literally the day it came out in 2016. I was immediately obsessed with it. That was, right before my first, not to be TMI on the pod, my first Looney Bins day. So, I feel like how much has changed in my life since the show came out was making me emotional. And it was emotional, saying goodbye to these characters. Did I understand almost... I'm going to be so honest. Maybe I was stupid. I did not understand almost anything that was happening in the fucking finale. Not even, one thing.
No, I agree. I think the thing with the finale... And I did like the finale. And to agree with you on a lot of that, it's that I think I was feeling more with my emotions. Because... Yeah. When you're younger and you watch these children grow up, I mean, they were all 11 and 12 years old when they started the show. To watch them grow into these older teenagers in real life in their 20s, watch these characters evolve. It is incredibly emotional, and you're saying goodbye to comfort because you know these characters so well. And I think that's why I liked it so much, is it felt like a fan send-off for the show.
Yeah.
But just because it was a fan send-off doesn't mean that everything was good. And that's how I felt. And especially with the rest of the season being...
This is full spoilers. Full spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure everyone knows, but full spoilers.
Yeah, full spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Stranger Things Season 5,
Don't.
Actually, just don't watch it. Probably just listen to us at this point.
Don't watch it.
It just felt like... Number one, it felt like such a long wait from when 4 came out to 5. And I
have lived in 3 separate states since 4 came out. Just for context, 3 separate states.
My favorite thing is another show I like to watch, which is also a goofy show, is The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Yes.
And someone said we got the entirety of The Summer I Turned Pretty from the time Stranger Things 4 ended to the time we got finally Stranger Things Season 5. That is crazy because that show feels like it's been on for an eternity, and it hasn't even been on for an entire Stranger Things run.
Yes. I also feel like the Duffer Brothers are untalented. If they want to come and fucking whatever at me, come whatever. But I don't think that they're talented writers. I think that the first season was very good, but I think they fell off quickly after that. I think they listened way too much to the fans. And that is all of you motherfuckers. Because I'm sorry, but we could have had we wouldn't have had to have heard about fucking Eddie the entire season. We wouldn't have had that stupid them trying to pretend that Nancy wasn't feeling Steve last season because all of you didn't like it. They wouldn't have sidelined 11, even though no shade, but personally I think that Millie just didn't want to film. That's my own opinion. I don't think that was because they don't care about 11. Are they misogynist? Yeah, but I think that 11's their golden goose. I think Millie didn't want to film. That's my opinion. That's my opinion!
It's my opinion!
But the finale was terrible. The finale was the whole... I don't like the fact that you had to see that play to understand what was going on. And people will try to... People who have seen the play will try to tell you, like, oh, no, you didn't need to see the play to understand what's going on. Well, you bitches saw the play, so you can't say that. You can't say that. And apparently now they're filming a pro shot, and I'm like, oh, now you're filming the pro shot.
After the season's come out.
Now you're filming the pro shot. I gave up trying to understand the Henry Mind Flayer Vecna shit. I was just like, you know what, whatever. By the time Max, like, started, like, you know, doing her, like, eyes shaking thing, and, like, Eleven and Collie were in her brain, and Vicky, Robin's girlfriend, was there for some reason, but then disappeared in the rest of the finale.
She was just there.
You know what? I was like, I love Sadie Sink. I love Max. I will put up with this, but I'm done. And I think the main topic of conversation, again, full spoilers, so no one yell at us.
Yep.
11 dying. Now, I am choosing to be delusional and believe that she is alive. And my reason for being delusional and thinking this is because Mike was the only one that believed she was alive in season 2. So therefore, I'm choosing to believe that she's alive now. But I know she's not. But I'm choosing to believe it. And I am really angry that she died. But what I'm angry about most of all, and I want your thoughts on this, Justin, it's not even that she died. It was, number one, that she was the only one that died.
Yep.
And also... And I've been fighting with people on Twitter about this for days.
I love that for you.
Days. So, and TikTok comments. So anyone that tries to tell me this isn't true, fuck off. Literally no one cared except Mike. And I think that is what's making me so mad. Literally no one else cared. We had to hear about fucking Eddie. Who was in their lives for like 9 months, but 11 who's been their friend for years. We just know that, whatever. We didn't have to hear Dustin give a whole speech about how brave she was and saved everyone. We have to hear about stupid, super senior Eddie dealt drugs to 15-year-olds. Sorry, guys. I'm back. Justin, what are your thoughts?
I think it was just so frustrating that my one thing that I hate that the Duffer Brothers always say is like, oh, we're not Game of Thrones. And I'm like, I'm not trying to say you are Game of Thrones, but there was nothing, there felt like there were no stakes in the finale at all. It felt...
Also, when Steve, like, fell off the thing, like, very obviously he wasn't going to die.
And then they cut to the commercial break.
I don't know how people, like, bought that. Like, there was no... Like, they were very clearly joking about, like, all the fans constantly thinking... It was the same thing with Mike being, like... Will being like, we're still friends, right? Mike being like, friends? No. Like, they were trolling y'all with that and the Steve thing. Like,
I will say, I was in a theater full of... I watched the Stranger Things finale in theaters, and when that happened, no one gasped because, like, we know what's going to happen. No one was shocked by it in the theaters. Everyone who was there was a super fan, and they're like... Even I was sitting next to probably, like, an 11-year-old who wasn't shocked.
Because it made
Because they're like, what? And they're like, oh, yeah, this is going to happen.
Jonathan and Nancy not dying in that room...
What?
Jonathan and Nancy, the fact they survived that stupid room.
Oh my god.
They were all in that thing where everything... Also, I do want to say, you and I were complaining about the CGI looking terrible all season. It looked awful. However, in the finale, it looked good. Which proves my point, because they were like, oh, we're going to put this on the big screen. So the entire budget went to the finale.
It did, because the entire season looked like it was probably made in the 80s. And it felt very cheap and very rushed.
Even the costumes looked cheap. Yeah, they looked awful.
Well, I'll get into Nancy's wig.
Yeah, the wig.
I need an entire 15 minutes of this podcast reserved to Nancy's wig.
Yeah, it was. But honestly, the epilogue one was bad. But I thought her hair looked awful all season.
I'm going to go on this for now, and then I will go back to this. Her entire season, she looked bad. I was so pissed the entire time because I actually thought in the finale they kind of made Nancy a badass, and I was kind of finally...
She
ate up. Yeah. Natalia Dyer, if you're listening to this, which you're not, you mothered that finale. You were great. With that gun. You're not giving Mike a gun.
Yeah.
But they gave her that ugly-ass wig, and then at the end of the finale, they give Robin this sexy blowout, and they give...
It was just Maya Hawke. She wasn't even in wardrobe.
She wasn't even in wardrobe. No. Maya Hawke looked beautiful. Yeah, and they give Nancy this Catherine O'Hara from Home Alone 2 wig and the shoulder pads. And I was like, why does she look...
She did look like Kate McAllister.
She looked like Kate McAllister, but not even Kate McAllister from the first movie.
No.
They made
Kate McAllister in the second one where you're like, bitch, why'd you leave your kid a second time?
I was just so pissed by that point. But I think to go back to the whole 11 dying, the Duffer Brothers, like... not really knowing what... I don't think they knew where to go with this. Because there felt like I said, there were no stakes. 11 dying...
They had a plan, Justin. They claim they had a plan.
There was no plan.
There's never been a plan. All of you idiots that claim they've had the show planned, they have not. It was supposed to be one season. They have not had the fucking show planned. If I have to hear one of you idiot bootlickers, I'm sorry, I'm so mad about this. Say that one more time. Fuck off. They did not have a plan.
This season proved that there was no plans. And the reason that they don't have a plan, and I think it's the one thing that frustrates me the most, and you mentioned it before, is that they listen to the fans too much. And the thing is that listening to the fans does not make a good show. Listening to the fans makes for weak writing. Because now there was no stakes this entire season. It felt like the characters were hollow shells of themselves. It felt like no one knew how to act like themselves anymore because they were trying to fan service so much. And also there was like massive amounts of time between this fucking film.
Well, did you watch? I watched a little bit of the documentary, but I got too angry, so I turned it off. They said that they didn't have the finale written when they started shooting. They also had ChatGPT and Reddit open when they were writing the episodes, which once again proves my point. And the Duffers, I was talking to my mom and my brother about this last night. I remember, because I've been watching the show for 10 years, I've been so immersed in the fandom, they did like 2 interviews after season 4 where they specifically said, and you can Google this, they said, we're not listening to the fans going into season 5, and we are not introducing any new characters. Like, obviously, that was a lie. Because the entire season was the new kids. I don't care. Like, and anyone that tries to be like, oh, Holly's not a new character, fuck off. Yes, she is. I'm sorry. She is. She did absolutely nothing the first 4 seasons.
This is where I also, going back to my we're not Game of Thrones comment, that is fine to not be Game of Thrones, but this finale was jam-packed with characters. And it felt like in other franchises, by the end, you get a few important characters to the end so that it makes sense. Like, if I'm just going to use The Hunger Games for an example. When you got to the end of Mockingjay, the main people you were focused on were Katniss, Peeta, Gale, Haymitch, and Effie. Those were your, like...
And those are the ones that survive.
And those are the ones that were survived. And then you kind of add in, like, Cressida, like, to make it more interesting. But Cressida never overtook the rest of these characters.
No, and Finnick does die. And it's, like, obviously we're all so sad that Finnick died. But it's, like... It served a... Prim dying. Prim dying, like... is an infuriating death, because it's like all of this was for nothing.
Katniss had one goal, and I'm just going off on Hunger Games because it's one of my favorite franchises of all time, but the writing in it, and I will praise Suzanne Collins till the day she dies, she knows how to please the fans without fan servicing. She knows what her stories are, and she doesn't care about making people uncomfortable or upset, because that's the point of her story.
And that's also if you like getting angry about someone dying,
that's sorry, good.
That's good. It means you've done something. Like, but I guess it's like, but then I'm mad that 11 died. But I think my issue with 11 dying,
she's the only one.
She's the only one that died, and it felt a lot like. But again, like, we all have been saying for at least 6 years now, the show is going to end with 11 dying and the boys playing D&D in the basement, and that is exactly what happened. They didn't surprise anyone.
No. I think, like, now that I'm, like, thinking about it, I think the problem with 11 dying, and as someone, I love to write, I know you love to write, Hannah, when you're writing someone's death, it needs to mean something. 11 had... I love 11 as a character.
Me too.
She's probably one of my favorites from the show. She's so many people's favorites, obviously. 11 had an incredibly rough life, an incredibly traumatic experience throughout these entire years, and her being the one that dies, it felt like everything was kind of like, why?
They also gave her no screen time.
They also gave her no screen time, so you didn't have any other time to fall back in love with her. You know what's so sad?
What?
Callie also died, and we didn't even, like, she's the only...
And it made no noise.
That made no noise.
Death. And I'm also annoyed about that, because I've been one of the main people that actually liked season 2, The Lost Sister. I really liked that episode. I thought it was really interesting. I wanted Callie to come back. But them bringing her back was just them being like, here. Like, now you guys can't say that that episode was pointless. But it still was pointless, because Callie did absolutely nothing. Unless whatever Mike predicted, like, oh, Callie made us think that she was dead. Unless that is true, which I'm choosing to believe it is, but I know it's not. Then her coming back served no purpose. Her being in Will's... Okay, we have to talk about that also. Her being in Will's coming out, seeing Murray being there. Someone said they should have pulled out the Ouija board and called Bob. Like...
My favorite tweet was, okay, are we going to drive all the way to Eddie's grave, and he's going to come out to Eddie's tombstone?
Like, okay, yes. And this is my thing. So... I feel like for me, I couldn't fully hate the finale, because my 3 favorite Stranger Things characters are Max, Steve, and Will. And I was happy that all of them were happy. They made Steve a teacher. Max ended up happy. Will finally feels accepted and safe. So I couldn't fully hate it. With that being said, the coming out scene was bad. And it's not, I think a lot of hate about it is because of two things.
Homophobia.
Number one, homophobia. And two, because people hate Noah Schnapp. I'm going to break my silence about something. I did not think Noah Schnapp's acting was the worst this season. And my reason for saying that is because he at least tried. And I think that is my, like, backup. Some of these people were not trying at all. Millie and Finn tried in that one scene in the finale. That was it. And that is only, I think that's clearly because I think the only person Millie, like, feels safe filming with is Finn, which I think she's talked about, because David Harbour's a loser. Sorry, send me an NDA. Cease and desist, whatever. But other than that, those motherfuckers were not trying. And, like, listen, I have my personal feelings about Noah as well, but y'all never have that same smoke for Brett Gelman, who played Murray. And you also never have that same smoke for Milo Manheim, who is also, you know, super Zionist. So it's giving homophobia to me a little bit, sorry. Not to say, I'm not saying, fuck, I don't want to get canceled already. I'm not saying what Noah said
Episode 2 were canceled.
Wasn't bad, but I'm saying, like, you guys pick and choose when you want to be bad about it. But Will's coming out scene, I know everyone's joking, like, oh, like, I guess he needed to come out to fight Vecna. Like, now for me, I feel like with Will's character, his character has always been, he's always felt alone. He's always felt like he could never have a community, that he was a loser, that he didn't have anybody else. So for me, I felt like, I loved all his stuff with Robin. Like, we've talked about this. That was the only good thing about the season.
That was my favorite. I thought Robin's arc was my favorite. Robin was actually, as a character, one of the ones that I enjoyed the most, because it actually showcased a growth in storyline. Yeah. Like, Robin kind of emerged as, like, not a completely different character, but as someone that you didn't expect from, and her relationship with Will. I even remember seeing an interview with Maya Hawke, who I love. I love Maya Hawke.
Yeah.
And she said, she was like, I was actually very nervous going into this season because they were not going to have me film with the people that I had been filming with for all these years.
And I was bummed about, unfortunately.
I know, which I was bummed about because I love it. And they were going to pair me with Noah, who I love, but I didn't get to know that well. And she's like, and filming, though, I actually really enjoyed filming this because it felt so worthwhile.
It did.
And I felt very connected to what was going on and connected to Noah. And I thought that was a really beautiful sentiment on her behalf.
It was a very beautiful sentiment on her behalf, and I definitely miss Steve and Robin together for sure. But I also feel like, you know, I feel like there was no way that Will couldn't have been a main character in this season.
He had to be.
With that being said, though, similar to, I've always said that Will dying would feel like Prim dying in the Hunger Games, where it's infuriating because all of it was for nothing. With that being said, though, like, I'm sorry, but, like, he should have died. Like, he's part of the hive mind. He should be dead. It made no sense that he survived. It made no sense that anyone survived, to be quite honest, but, like, specifically that.
Specifically him.
Justin, I think you and I need to have a conversation about Will's, you know, ending being in a gay bar, because you were very annoyed about this initially. So I would like your commentary for the people.
So I love Will being a queer character. I've always thought he was going to be a queer character.
And people being shocked.
Girl!
All the homophobes being like, this is the woke agenda. Bitch, he's been gay since episode 1.
Like, we've known. I'm sorry, guys. Get off your fucking high horse.
Get off of it.
Gay people existed in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I will go back out to go to the coming out scene and then going to his future. The coming out scene was annoying because it felt both long but also rushed. It just didn't feel intimate
I know what
enough.
You mean. Yeah,
It didn't feel intimate enough. It felt. They also never used the word "I'm gay." I think.
Yeah, your boyfriend pointed that out to me. I didn't even think about that. That is a good point.
He said, "I don't like girls. I mean, I do like girls, but not in the way you do," which is fine to say it, but I don't know. It felt
I do agree.
It felt odd, and then the future being him in a gay bar in the 80s.
No shade, Justin, but, like, you know,
it felt.
I can say this as a queer person. Gay guy turns 18 immediately at the bar.
At the club, another club.
It's pretty
My fellow travelers made no noise.
No, my fellow travelers made no noise. There was no them being at the bar or the club.
I think it just felt very stereotypical. I was like, of course, the one gay character is at the club at the end, meeting up with a guy. And again, nothing inappropriate happens at the bar.
But it's still like, come on.
But it's still like, okay, he couldn't have been like at a park and they were holding hands in public.
Even at a coffee shop.
Even at a coffee shop, somewhere, something. Him at college, like...
With that being... Okay, from a different side. Again... It's stereotypical. Some stereotypes for a reason.
I'm happy he's happy.
Yeah. With that being said, I feel like for me, it didn't really bother me because Will, I feel like as a character, is someone who's always really struggled to fit in.
Yeah.
And to find, like, a community. Like, even with his friend group, he always very much felt like an outsider. And I feel like there is something... in my opinion, something sort of beautiful about him being able to find that community after he leaves Hawkins, which has been nothing but pain for him.
I will say, especially if you are a queer person watching this, a big aspect of finding queer community when you first come out is
the club.
Is kind of the club because...
That was us with fucking Feathers.
Fucking Feathers, New Jersey, iconic place.
Yeah.
But it's because you don't really know when you're in that age group, like you don't know where to go to find queer people, so you go to the gay bar because you know there's a safety there and there's gay people there, there's queer people there.
Yes, I also do want to say that if you genuinely thought Mike and Will were ending up together, I want you to get evaluated and see a therapist.
This was not happening.
They were not happening. You know, I can't say that on the podcast. Never mind. I'll tell Justin off the air. I was happy with Will's thing overall. Like, I didn't care. The whole thing was rushed, though, because they haven't done anything with Will in, like, 2 seasons. So the whole thing felt rushed. Max, I love Max. Sadie Sink can do no wrong in my eyes. Like, that's literally my icon. That's my mother. That's, like, whatever. I love Sadie Sink to death. Max is my diva. Yeah. I love Max to death. That is my favorite character. Didn't really care about her storyline because I don't care about Holly. I didn't care about any of this nonsense. Love her and Lucas together. Love.
I love her and Lucas together.
Love.
The fact that she graduated, crazy.
Honestly, though, like, low-key me, when, like, I only graduated because, like, the school didn't want to deal with my mother. Like, honestly, me, but also, like... So you're telling... somebody tweeted, they were like, bro, how dumb was Eddie that he failed 3 times and Max was in a coma for a good, like, 2 years? And she's still graduated. It's like, no, Eddie was a fucking dud. That's another thing. This Eddie nonsense in season. No one could breathe. Do it in the finale when Steve and Dustin were talking about, like, oh, this is for Eddie. This is for Eddie. I was like...
Didn't a lot of other people die before this?
Like, why do we always have to bring him up? Like, I'm so tired of hearing about him. I don't care. And also, Justin, I want your thoughts on this because this is a thing that I have come to terms with recently. I famously hate Dustin. Okay. Which I am scared to say publicly because I feel like I'll get death threats. But you know what? If you want to send me death threats, it's nothing I haven't heard before. Go ahead. However, I think my issue with Dustin is more so my issue with the Duffers because I think Dustin is very much a stand-in for them. I have the same issue with Degrassi. For anyone that's a fan of Degrassi, that they did the same thing with Spinner, which is a massive issue I have with it. I don't like that the show positions Steve to be a loser because he didn't go to college and he's a hometown guy. I don't like that. I think that's that's something that, like, I'm only just going back to school now at almost 29 years old. Yeah. Like, I didn't go to college for 10 years, and that's something I've had to deal with a lot, is people thinking that I'm a loser, I'm this, I'm that, because I didn't go to school. I think that the way the world works should not be dependent on whether or not you have a fucking piece of paper.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't think Steve is a failure. I think Steve is a success story. I think Steve always has a job. I think he's able to keep real and meaningful friendships. I think that he's a very loving protector. I think that's his main quality. And I personally don't think he's a loser that he stays in Hawkins at the end of the show. I think that Steve's joy and passion has always been working with kids, and it doesn't surprise me. You know, every girl in that sex ed class is like, wants to like kill themselves that he's their teacher. Absolutely. Talking to them about it. You know, they're mortified.
Absolutely.
But I don't like that the show positions him to be a loser because of that. And I don't like the way that Dustin this entire season was like, oh, you're literally anytime Steve would breathe, he'd be like, you're an idiot. You're a loser. You don't know anything about anything. Who would listen to you? You're a fucking moron. It was literally every 5 seconds to the point where it got to be annoying. And I do understand that he was lashing out at Steve because he's another, like, male figure in his life. So he was just feeling like, I understand the grief behind it. Trust me, I do. But I don't like that the show also tried to portray Steve and Eddie's relationship as being more, like, meaningful than his relationship with Steve. Bitch, we knew Eddie for a season.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think that's another thing where they kind of, I feel like, lost the plot of a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
And I actually think Steve throughout the show, has always had an interesting storyline, or, like, at least an interesting, like, relationship with the other characters.
Yes.
Because he's so, like, outsided a lot of the times, because he's not someone's sibling, he's not someone's best friend, he's
there because he actually cares about people.
He's there because he cares about people. And I do agree that I don't like that he was always positioned as, like, the dumb one who didn't know what was going on. And I think that it was easy to do that to him because he was so outsided from the rest of the group, even though by the end of it, he is very, like, included in everything. And I think it also seems to happen because you didn't have people, like, characters like Robin who had a connection with him, in that you put him with kind of others who view him in a different light. And, like, to say, like, as someone who also is a teacher in their hometown, there's nothing wrong with Steve's path at all.
There's not. And I don't like that about the show. And also, if I was Steve, I would have just been like, you know what, Dustin? I might be stupid, but at least I graduated high school on my first time, which is more than I can say for Eddie.
Damn. Drag.
I hate Eddie. Sorry. If you guys want to come at me, come at me. I also do want to say that my issue, I think, with Dustin and Eddie's relationship, and why I don't like all this hellfire nonsense, because it is incel culture. Sorry, it's incel culture because the Duffers are incels. The most unrealistic... Stranger Things is a show about interdimensional monsters. It's an entire storyline in season 3 about Steve Harrington not being able to pull bitches. No one would have cared that he was in the sailor uniform. Literally no one. No. Not one person would have cared. Literally no one. And if they pretended they cared, they were lying. I think that Eddie instilled this victim mentality in Dustin. This, like, oh, poor me. Everyone's out to get me because I'm a nerd. Everyone's out to get me because I'm a loser. It's this whole, like, nice guy culture that the Duffers have always played into. And what I like about Steve as a role model for Dustin is he doesn't do that with him. He doesn't talk to him like he's a victim. Like, he gives him the steps and the tools to win. Whereas I feel like Eddie just does this, oh, it's the whole world against me crap. And I think that really rubbed off on Dustin in a bad way. No, I know that that's unpopular, but... No,
and I agree with that. I liked Eddie, obviously, more than you. I don't have a hatred towards Eddie. I know it's your nemesis. Yeah. I don't hate Eddie. I do...
It's my nemesis, though, Justin, because of the fans.
It
is my nemesis because of the fans.
That's where I was going to go with that.
Baby, I just saw Steve. All the nonsense that we have been dealing with for fucking 4 years. We still had a C in the season. I'm so over it. The fact that Justin cared more about him than he did about 11 dying drives me insane.
That's where I was going to go with it, is that I like Eddie as a character. I thought he was very interesting, and I thought his storyline was very interesting in season 4. I don't like how a lot of the fans kind of, like, portray him sometimes, or...
All the TikToks of people, like, standing on tables.
I'm like, oh my god, stop this. Especially, like, his, like, this character is from, like, is portrayed in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And, like... Some of the shit, like, we don't need to bring to 2026, guys.
I really don't. I'm just over it. So I hated that a lot. I will say, though, I didn't hate that storyline, and I think the reason I didn't hate it is because... I mean, I did hate it. It was infuriating me. But the reason I can defend it somewhat is because Gaten Matarazzo and Joe Keery are actually good actors.
They're really good actors.
Are good actors. So, like, at least it was, like, believable. And even though the dialogue might not have been bad, the two of them are talented enough that they can work... Like, same with Sadie Sink. Like, they can work around bad dialogue because they are genuinely talented professionals.
Yes. And I actually think that this storyline boded worse for Dustin than it did for Steve. Because, I mean, a lot of people do like Dustin, but I think that it kind of minimized what he was doing a lot. I think, like, he didn't have enough to do during the season.
He didn't, and also the entire reason that, like, the big thing where they lost Hopper and 11 upside down is Dustin's fault. And Dustin that's another thing. Dustin can, and Steve calls him out on this, Dustin can never, ever admit when he's wrong, and I cannot stand people who can't admit when they're wrong. Dustin can never admit when he's wrong, and that's another thing about Steve. Steve will always, everyone wants to be like, oh, all the Jancy shippers and all the idiots will be like, oh, like, sorry guys, if you probably shouldn't be listening to this if you actually like Stranger Things, because my opinions are very different. But like the big Steve sucks. I'm like, yeah, but Steve does a lot of wrong, yes, but Steve can admit when he's wrong, and he does. Dustin refuses to admit. Steve would be like, he'd be like, this is your fault. And Dustin would be like, well, no, it's not. I fell off my bike, or whatever he said. It was obviously a lie. Yeah.
Dustin has this very, like, kind of know-it-all mentality.
He like, I said on Twitter, get your ass back on Reddit. Like, he literally talks like a Reddit bro. Like, well, actually, like, y'all would hate him if you knew him in real life. Like, be so fucking for real. You would.
I think a big reason why Dustin is likable is because he's played by Gaten. That happens a lot, because Gaten, I love Gaten.
The same.
And he's amazing. And I think if anyone else was playing Dustin, I actually think he'd be pretty unlikable.
I do agree with that. I also think someone else that people hate, that I loved at first, then hated last season, the season before, but I feel like was better for me this season is Mike.
Yeah.
I have been, last season Mike, season 3 even, I can't. I love Finn Wolfhard, that's my diva, and I love Mike in the first 2 seasons. I feel like they kind of did the opposite with Mike. I feel like, again, they didn't really do much with him. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think Finn gives a fuck. I think he showed up, be with his friends, and collect a paycheck, which is why I love him. I love that he just does whatever he wants.
Exactly.
But I feel like Mike was more likable this season than he has been in the past, because I feel like the thing about Mike that the show, like, forgot is, like, Mike's superpower is that he is kind.
Yes, I agree.
Like, the reason that Eleven and Will are so obsessed with Mike is because he is kind.
Yes.
And he was there for them, and he saved them. Both of their loves from Mike stem from the same thing. And I feel like this season, Mike was finally not being a dick. Like, I feel like he was finally, like, being kind and, like, compassionate again. This is what you remember him as. I know we will all, including me, make fun of until the end of time, like Nancy crying in the hospital about both the parents being in a coma and Finn just sitting there, like, nodding at her, like, same. Like, I also will feel that way. Do half of Mike's actions make any sense throughout the series? No. Will I agree with the Bylers that they might have made more sense if he was secretly gay? I will agree with them on that. It would have made more, like, some of the shit that he has done would make more sense if he was gay.
Yes.
But he's not. We all knew he wasn't. I mean, some people clearly thought he did, but I didn't think he was.
It was not happening.
No, it wasn't happening. But it was better this season. I was happy him and Nancy got some scenes together.
Yes.
I liked what they did with Nancy as much as I am a Stancy shipper coming out of the closet, like, as that is, like, hate crime me, go ahead. I didn't like the fact that they totally they tried to pretend that Nancy felt nothing for Steve last season, like, girl bye. But I liked what they did with Nancy. I was very happy with her storyline. I liked her being more invested in her family and, like, dealing with, because a conversation between me and my mom for years has been, like, has been why haven't they told Karen and Ted anything? So Nancy, like, dealing with that guilt, I thought was really interesting. Yeah. I was so happy. I love Stancy. I will take Nancy being single. Like, I just don't want her with Jonathan, because I think Jonathan's an incel. So I could take her not being with Jonathan. She's single. Yeah. She dropped out of college, which I did. I was a little bit like, I mean, I guess that's interesting, because I guess her whole thing has always been school. So I thought it was actually kind of interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I was fine with it. I thought it was a little too left field. And again, there's nothing wrong with dropping out of college and to do what she did. I thought it went a little too, I feel like it pushed her too far away from who she originally was and what made her who she was. But overall, I thought Nancy had one of my favorite arcs of the whole season.
Same.
I loved Nancy in the finale. I really liked Nancy in the final.
She's just fearless.
She doesn't
hesitate.
She doesn't hesitate. I loved the scene where Mike's like, can I have a gun? And she's like, no. And then she's like, here. And she just hands him a flare.
And he thought it was a real gun because he's...
And then they come up to, like, that's a flare.
That's a flare.
And then her... she's like... my favorite thing was her. She's like, I'll go up first, and she's the one who goes up first.
Yeah, like I really respect that about her, and I feel like I have had my issues with Nancy throughout the series. I think what I've realized in season 4, I think Nancy is at her worst when she's around Jonathan. I think they bring out the worst in each other. And which is why the last 2 seasons I've been very happy that they have not been paired together as much, because I think Nancy is much more interesting when she's paired with... obviously, I love Stancy, but like Robin, Mike, I was so happy that she was finally getting scenes with Mike.
I think what I never wanted Nancy to become was that her whole character was her having a boyfriend. And I think that was a fear that I had, because she is a very interesting character with interesting perspectives, and they created interesting storylines for her. And I like her better when she is not someone's girlfriend, like, because that's what they when she did do that. I'm not blaming any of the actors or anything, but like as writers, that's what they made her.
And because that's what the Duffers are incels. And you know what they see Nancy as? They see Nancy as the dream girl that they never got in high school. And yeah.
Honestly,
now
she is.
I am. With that being said, though, I will give them credit where credit is due for realizing that she and Jonathan outgrew each other. Their whole relationship was formed on a trauma bond. So that's the one thing I will give them credit for.
I was gonna say, do you after all of this, in a realistic sense, like Nancy and Jonathan were never gonna.
That's the thing. Joyce and Hopper, I'll get to in a second. Max and Lucas, like I was happy, and I feel like them ending up together is realistic.
I thought it was incredibly realistic, and I think that they
have a genuine passion for each other.
They do.
It's not just about love. They have genuine passion. Yeah.
There's so much care and kindness and even worry, like, that's been throughout the seasons. Like, I think them ending together made so much sense.
Yeah, it did. And, like, I know, like...
It was the only one that I was like, this has to happen.
Yeah, I would have been, like, livid if it didn't. I was just so happy to see them together in the finale. Now, Joyce and Hopper, I have never liked them together. I don't like them together. I never have.
Justin, are you more of a, I'm sorry, what was... Bob, Sean Astin.
You know what? Honestly, yeah, I did like Bob better.
Get that Ouija board, girl.
Honestly, I should have. Like, I wish we could have had a fucking tribute to Bob instead of Eddie. My reasoning I thought Bob was a better match for Joyce because I think he was just a nice man who really loved her and really loved being a part of her family. I thought he was a really good role model for Will. And I don't think that Hopper is a good role model for Will. I think my brother just started watching the show and him and I were talking about this. And my brother was like, my brother's problem with Hopper, and I was telling you that he said this, is that every season is the same.
Yeah.
He's a drunk idiot yelling at everybody. He learns a lesson. He apologizes. The next season, it starts all over again.
Yeah.
The show also completely jumped the shark when they didn't kill him. That was the first sign of them listening to the fans. He should have stayed dead.
Yeah.
Because everything he's done since then has been boring as fuck.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, at all.
It just didn't make any sense to bring him back. And again, the fan service really just frustrates me because...
Do people even like David Harbour? I mean, I think that they did, but all his movies flop. So.
All of his movies flopped. Are we really his relationship with Lily Allen?
The whole Millie thing, which I do believe.
I do believe. I will always believe Millie on that.
I will too.
And the thing is like I just don't know what was interesting enough about him, because I feel like we like some of the adults on Stranger Things, but if you're watching Stranger Things, maybe besides Winona Ryder, who a lot of people started the show with because they were fans of Winona Ryder, but as the show has gone along, you stay because you're fans of the kids. Of the kid characters. I
agree, but I also do want to say I think they did Joyce dirty this season too. Like, I don't think she did anything. Now, did Winona probably want to be there? No.
Winona, did you see her Hot Ones?
I did not, but someone said that she said. What did she say?
She said, and I honestly give her. She's like, she basically. He asked her like, "Oh, what was it like filming Stranger Things season 5?" A question along those lines, and she's like, "Yeah, I've been on Stranger Things for a while. Am I in season 5? I don't know. I don't know if they'll put me in it."
And you know what? She's right. I feel like...
I knew there was a problem when you were watching the finale, and she didn't have a line until 45 minutes into the episode.
Yeah, you texted me. You literally texted me during. You were like, "Why didn't she talk?
Why didn't she talk? Like, what the fuck?"
I was happy she got to give the final blow.
You don't mess. It was so good.
It was. I was happy she got to give the final blow. I didn't even think, and I love Winona Ryder, but I didn't even think her acting was that good.
I think because like, it was weird in the sense.
The writing was also. To be fair, though, I will say, take this with a grain of salt because the writing was awful. So they did not have.
Yeah, I'm not blaming Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder is a great actress. Yeah. I love her. I love all of her movies.
Same.
I just think that since season 1, they've given her less and less to do, and especially in this season.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating to watch because you muddied it. I mean, I think Murray had more lines than she did.
I hate Murray. Also, why didn't they just kill him? Like, that's another reason about the fan service. Everybody thought he was funny in season 2, so we had to keep dealing with him. I will say, on that note, though, I was really pissed for Priah Ferguson because Erica did absolutely nothing the entire season. And someone pointed out, like, I understand that Priah Ferguson is, like, 20 now, and I feel like that's also part of the reason they didn't show her that much is because she's supposed to be 11.
But she was one of my favorites. I liked her.
Same. I love Erica. I feel like they might have been trying to hide her because she's obviously not 11 years old. But someone was pointing out, like, them being like, Holly is the next generation of D&D kids, as if they didn't set up, like,
Priah.
Erica being a D&D fan in previous seasons is weird. Like, that is weird.
It felt weird. It felt weird, and Erica was always more prominent than Holly was throughout the seasons, and...
Which is why it feels borderline, like, sus. Like, it feels a little like, why can't Erica read the generation? Like, it's just weird to me.
It just felt weird, and a lot of people are assuming, and I never know what to listen to with these fans. They feel like they're gearing up for like a spin-off with Holly and everyone and Derek and Deb.
The Duffers did say that the spin-off is not going to have any characters that we know.
Okay.
But again, they say a lot of things.
And then we're wrong. I think the thing is, now, did I think it was funny when Derek said, "Suck my big one"? Yeah. That was funny.
Derek was a diva.
And ate the fuck down.
Derek the diva.
I like Derek.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I didn't need as much Derek as they gave me this season. I just felt, and this is another thing, going back to it, this season had too many characters. There was and it didn't give enough things for people to do. We've dealt with movies and TV shows that have a finite grouping of characters, and they all have something to do. Like I mentioned, you have the Hunger Games. When Harry Potter was big, you had Hermione, Ron, and Harry. And you had a few extras around them every now and again. But it always went back to the three of them.
But they also never tried to make those side characters be like, big. They're the main character. They never tried to do that.
No, it should have stayed the characters that we all know.
From season 1.
Like
Robin and Max.
Yeah. They can stay because their storylines were incredibly big and were needed. But besides them, it shouldn't have been anyone else.
And someone was saying that I rewatched season 1 right after season 5 because my brother had never seen it, and we were talking about the scene in season 1 in the finale where Joyce and Hopper wake Will up is like, to me, like, I bawl my eyes out.
I do too.
It's such a beautiful montage of them like showing Hopper's daughter dying, followed by like Joyce like begging him to wake up, Winona acting her ass off, and Barb getting an Emmy nomination over Winona Ryder that season. You know how I feel about Shannon Purser. And then Will waking up, someone was like, it's a genuinely emotional moment because they were very smart in season 1. They did not show Will that much. So there was still a sense of mystery. There was still a sense of, he could, there was still a sense of, like, the unknown. But, like, with Holly, she had more screen time than, like, anyone. So obviously we knew she was okay. So when Nancy and Mike woke her up, it was not an emotional moment because we knew she was fine.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with the Duffers. It's tell. Half the episodes are just exposition, them being like, them picking up, like, a phone and being like, this represents this, explaining the plan for 5 minutes. The plan doesn't work. They're like, oh my God, the world's gonna end. Dustin will be like, Mother of God. And then the episode will end and then nothing will happen of substance. That's literally all of season 5.
Yes.
Guys, I'm angry. Justin, why don't you give one thing you really liked about season 5 and then your least favorite thing, just to end this portion of the episode.
One thing that I really liked about season 5 was the fact that I had to pause.
For what? What did you have to pause it?
To think.
Oh,
the fact that I have to think.
Yeah. So bad.
I'm going to say my favorite part of season 5, I loved Robin. I thought Robin, I'll give Nancy. They had amazing growth. They had amazing storylines. They had amazing character arcs. I loved where they went. I thought Robin's scenes with Will were incredibly emotional, and especially for being a queer person watching this, watching 2 queer characters was very, very emotional. Did she dump Vicky in the end? We don't know. But
that's a whole other.
That's a whole other episode just about Vicky. But I
low-key thought was annoying. I'm sorry. Sorry.
But I loved Robin. I loved Nancy. And I will say I liked the finale for what it was, and that it gave me a nice ending to these characters and to emotionally end what we had been witnessing for the past 10 years. My least favorite... That was nice of me.
That was very nice. Very nice.
Robin and Nancy, Maya Hawke, Natalia Dyer, if you're listening...
Love you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, because that was service.
It was service.
Especially poor Natalia having to wear that fuck-ass wig all season.
Horrible. They were like, the only people that didn't wear a wig were Finn and Joe. And it's like, we could tell because their hair looked good.
Their hair looked good.
Yeah. They also both have good hair, though. So
they do both have really good hair.
That wig, Caleb McLaughlin, the way they did his hair, fuck them. Fuck them.
Does nobody know how to do, textured hair?
No, they don't.
Fuck off. My least favorite part, and I've mentioned this multiple times during this episode, there were just too many people. I was so frustrated watching all of them, and none of them got screen time.
But the thing about it is, it's even the ones we do care about, I stopped caring about. They weren't giving them anything.
They sidelined 11 for the entire season, whatever the circumstance was, I don't know. But and also her fucking wetsuit. I didn't even talk about the wetsuit.
I was pissed for Millie that was her last outfit.
That was her last outfit. Couldn't even be something.
Yeah, I was mad.
Couldn't even be something cunt.
Yeah.
I just was like, they sidelined her. They gave characters that I don't care about tons of screen time that I didn't need, and I just was like, okay, cool. It just felt too jam packed. There were no stakes.
No.
And I just felt like there wasn't. It should have been the finale. I felt like it should have just been a longer movie instead of 5 a whole season. It should have been a movie.
They also just should have picked up right when season 4 ended.
Agreed. Why are we doing this? Because it took them so fucking long, and these kids are
aging
rapidly. My mom always makes the joke, or they're like, are they in the home yet?
No, she's right. She's right though. She's right.
Millie Bobby Brown is married with a child, and this show still was going on.
That is actually insane.
That was a joke I made when
Obama was in office when season 1 came out.
That's how you know this has been a long going show.
We have been through 4 administrations. 4.
Oh no.
There was peace in this country for about 2 months before Trump got elected. Just think about that.
And that's when Stranger Things 1 came out, guys.
My one...
Yes, tell me.
I honestly, I can't even, I hated everything. I mean, I guess if I had to say, it would be that my 3 favorites ended up happy. So Max, Will, and Steve. I'm happy that they were happy.
Yes, I agree.
I thought Sadie acted her ass off and did a wonderful job. I think Max is I find it very hard a lot of the times to connect with female characters. I usually like Sean from Boy Meets World, just that's the closest character to myself. And I see a lot of myself in Max, and I always have. And I was very, very happy to see her get her happy ending, because I think that a lot of young girls probably agree with me about that. Will, you know what I will say? I actually did really like the scene where Will got the powers. That was a genuine gag.
I loved that.
And that was a genuine gag.
That's where all the budget went.
That was where all the budget went.
It was cool.
The montage of Robin's voiceover followed by clips of his growing up. Oh,
I loved it. Bawling.
That was good. Worst. You know what? I guess the easy answer is the writing.
I was gonna say the writing.
I think the writing is the easiest answer. The writing was terrible. I think that all around is the easiest. So I think I'm just gonna say the writing. Now, a show this is a perfect segue. That might not have good writing sometimes. It got better as the series went on. But is my piece right now.
It's all over my feed.
Heated rivalry, which
I'm
is
so excited
single-handedly keeping the nation together right now.